with Lighthouse, the show where we guide you to the technology and talent solutions to drive your business forward. I'm your host, Joe Ray, and want to say an early happy Thanksgiving to everybody who's tuning in today. If you're joining us live on the last workday here before the Thanksgiving holiday, or if you're watching from home, thanks for taking the time to watch with us. It's definitely a time of gratitude and reflection, and wanted to say thanks to everyone who's been a part of Live with Lighthouse here throughout our journey. I think first episode was back in June, and now we're on episode 21 here. So it's been a really good journey throughout this year, and wanted to say thanks to all of our guests that we've had on the show throughout the year, to everyone who's tuned in. Big thank you, and grateful for all of you. Really grateful for Lighthouse being a place where I've found a really good work-life balance and been able to, prioritize my health and structure my day some different ways, and really excited to be talking health and wellness for technology professionals and good casual conversation for us here before the holidays. And wanted to bring on one of my coworkers who this is also a topic that's really important to him. We got Mark Rizzo on the show today. How you doing, Mark?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Doing well. Thank you.
Yeah, Mark's one of our all-star systems administrators on our IT services team, and does a great job servicing our small and mid-sized business clients all over Western New York. And he brings a lot of positive energy to our team too. So really excited to have you on the show today, Mark. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a systems administrator, and I've been working with Lighthouse with this wonderful team for almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in February, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Love it. And I see you repping the team T-shirt right here. Can we show these off for everybody? This is our team T-shirt for 2023.
More values. You got it.
Yep. Light up those around you. You definitely do that, man. You're a positive dude. It's always good energy when you're around the office. So we really appreciate you. Wanted to talk a little bit off the top here, because you really brought a unique experience to our team too. You actually worked with the Apple team on the Genius table. Really strong customer service experience before you started working in an MSP setting. What did you kind of learn from that part of your career?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, when it comes to working at the Genius Bar, it is 100% customer service first. So and believe it or not, the training actually is all centered around customer service techniques. So I was able to build a lot of that while working there, and then bring that to the team here and try to light up those around me with those skills that I've acquired and the kind of mindset. For example, a lot of it involves with dealing with ambiguity, which is what we would deal with. We would work with, I should say, on a daily basis as working with multiple clients in their various environments. We have to think on our feet, think creatively, think openly, and when you don't know what the day is gonna provide, then if you approach it ready for anything, then you're gonna have a lot more success, I find. So that's one technique that I've taken from working with Apple as a Genius. And there's also some steps of service which is followed with every interaction, and those kind of things I bring to all of my interactions when working with clients, or just having conversations to try to determine what their needs are. So in the example of what somebody might have an issue with something, then we might want the first steps to be the 3 A's. And I'm sharing some trade secrets, Apple. I'm sorry, Tim Cook, but not sorry, because I'm very thankful for these skills. But like one of them would be, the 3 A's would be to acknowledge the question or the inquiry, align with that inquiry and align with the person, and then assure them that you're going to try your best to meet them or answer their question. That's one little secret. And another one that I like is the 3 P's, which would start with just how to actually go forward and ask questions. So one would be it would start with position, and then permission, and then the probe aspect where you actually ask the question. So starting with, hello, what I'd like to understand more about this issue. Can I ask you a couple questions? How many people are going to be using this system? Just flow it right through. It works every time, because if you give people context, it's going to get you the answers you're looking for. So that's another thing that those kind of steps that are big that Apple instilled in me. But the other really important one, well, there's a lot of really important ones, but shared responsibility and accountability amongst the team to make sure that we're all communicating, because we want the most consistent experience we can. So making sure that we're all on the same page in terms of how information is delivered and how we get that information from clients and how we can determine what their needs are is paramount to making sure that it's the consistency is there. Because if you don't have a consistent customer service experience, then people just might not have the best experience every time, really, when it comes down to.
Yeah. So, yeah. And it all comes back to, like, you got on your shirt there with light up those around you. Yeah. And I've got the wristband with light up those around you and be a lighthouse on there. It's all about having some sort of North Star that you can point to, and just kind of those little things of consistency, or even like the 3 A's and the 3 P's and consistent techniques and things like that you go to as well. Apple definitely does a good job of offering a consistent experience. And even you look at all their products and they kind of have the same look and feel. And if you see it out in the wild, you definitely know, oh, that's an iPhone. Oh, that's a MacBook. Absolutely. So really permeates throughout everything. So yeah, so that was a really great place to start. Thanks, Mark.
Of course. Yeah, thank you.
Love it. Obviously we're here today, talking about health and wellness, and, definitely we're in the generation and the industry of technology, where it's lots of, sitting at a desk for long periods of time, staring at screens for long periods of time. Sometimes some infrequent hours as well. Technology is something that's kind of always on, and, you never know when there might be something to support and whatnot. So, I think it's a really important topic, but curious to start and hear why it's an important topic for you.
Yes. Well, especially these days in a very technology-based environment, the hybrid work setup can have challenges. And those challenges aren't necessarily technical, especially, I was going to say, especially when you have a partner, when you have people in your house, it becomes a little trickier, because your office, like you have an office, but it essentially kind of becomes like you're like just always kind of at home, so you have to find those ways to make it to find those breaks and find ways to kind of make your office not necessarily like different from your house, but kind of in a way where it has its own setup. So when you enter your workspace, that you are in your workspace. So as much as it's important to also break that up and maybe work from a different room, when I'll get into some other, techniques on that kind of thing. But that's really the biggest challenge that I find in a hybrid environment. It is extremely beneficial. I love having the flexibility of having my own setup, but yeah. But even so, the kind of things that I will do is make sure that I'm aware of those things where I'm entering my workspace, I'm in my workspace, but also making sure when you leave your workspace that you are taking breaks appropriately, because it's very easy to take a break in such a way where it's actually can kind of stress you more, or add extra unwanted energy. So I find that it's important to select the kind of breaks that you do to recenter yourself in such a way where it isn't distractive. So if we're talking about breaks, maybe a quick walk, maybe I'll pick up my guitar, maybe I'll sit down on my piano or whatever, just kind of do something that kind of helps me feel a little constructive in a different way, but not in a way where it's kind of like doing chores or just anything like mundane that you do on a normal basis, but things that actually kind of help you kind of get yourself back in some way.
Yeah, definitely. I love what you said in there too, just about being present in the space that you're in. We have our home offices, we have the office that we go into when we're working hybrid. I know I'm notorious around Lighthouse for I'll probably work between 3 and 4 different rooms in the office in a given day too, just to try to find different headspaces and kind of chase the sun as it's coming around to the one side of the building here as well. But yeah, there's definitely a lot there in terms of how your environment affects your work and just your overall health and like how you're feeling as you're in that work environment.
Yeah. And the kind of tools that I will use is, well, you got to make sure you have a comfy chair. That's key. You have to spend $1 million, but just make sure it's something that you actually like. Because what I have found, back when I was trying to I don't know, when this was like a newer setup and hybrid work environment, kind of in the past few years has been more or less becoming normalized. I would just take whatever chair I could, because I'm like, well, this is not my normal day, so whatever, I'll just grab like a dining room chair or something. But it's like, as you settle into it, it's like, well, you actually got to make your home environment, because it is your office, and you got to make it suit your needs. So if you got to have a nice, if you like a big desk, get a big desk. If you like having a nice screen, get a good screen. Just it goes a long way to enjoy the work environment that you're in. So if you're kind of cramped over your laptop all day, maybe spread out a little bit. But the other things that I will do is I'll make sure that I have good lighting. So I used a lot of smart lighting in around my place here, and that's another great technology tool for finding ways to make your environment work for you. So it's really endless. It just depends on what works for the individual. Ambient noise works pretty well for me too. There's so many things.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of music as well too. That kind of finding the right track to fit the right mood. Whether I need something more upbeat for if I'm in a brainstorm and trying to drive a new idea, or if I'm kind of I'll put on some more relaxing music if I'm just going through emails and tracking tasks and things like that. Just the little things make a big difference too. And even thinking about lighting too. Right now I'm in an office space that doesn't have windows but has tons of light from above. And I know you've got a window there, but you're also doing a great job using one of our virtual backgrounds to extend the experience of the Lighthouse office that we have here in Seneca 1 in Buffalo too. Being able to communicate that even when our people are working from home or working from anywhere, really. So really goes a big way to just communicating the space and kind of communicating, like we were saying earlier too, our values and how people want to understand us and get to know us and trust us, when we're working with them. So the environment goes a big way for that.
Right. Well, eventually maybe we can have like a between two ferns kind of setup. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A little, kind of confessional or a video area and things like that.
Yeah.
So you, working with our managed IT services team, I know you guys are bouncing around a lot between in the office, lots of times working from home, sometimes on site with clients and things like that. We talked about some of the things that play into your environment between the lighting and the desk space and things like that. Work-life balance is also a really important phrase too. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit with being present, in your work when you're in the office and things like that. But obviously things come up sometimes, and, when you're away and need to be connected on mobile devices and things like that too. Work-life balance, or sometimes I've heard the phrase work-life integration get thrown around too. Being able to, be present where you need to be, but also be connected enough to make sure the work gets done. It's definitely a balancing act for sure. So what are some tips for the viewers that you've found in terms of, finding your best work-life balance?
Well, that's a really interesting topic, because it's one of the most challenging things about a hybrid setup. When you are at home per se, but you're working, is finding the ways. I know we're talking about this as a broad topic, but being able to separate that. So between those transitional times between when you're at the office or when you're going somewhere else, is to really schedule the time when you're going to disconnect, to schedule those breaks in a way where, because of what can very easily happen when you're working at home, per se, is you're kind of always at work, like I already touched on, but that to expand on that, you're almost feel like, well, I'm at home, I'm in front of my computer, I might as well just do some work or whatever. So it's very tempting to do that, because we always have things we want to work on, but making sure that you are mindful of that, of the very real reality of burning yourself out can happen if you don't schedule your time for yourself. So really claiming that time and setting a boundary on, really, to be like, okay, well, it's a certain time of day. I'm going to set my status on my phone. Well, these are personal and professional. These interweave, as you mentioned. It's an integration setup, really, because you have to be mindful of your phone too, your personal obligations. People are trying to get a hold of you. So I have found using focused notification settings to be a lifesaver. There's a second part of that. So not just on my phone, but on my watch, because this little thing, we make my body buzzing all day if I'm not careful about it. With the so many distractions. So making sure that that is also set to only the VIPs, not necessarily work emails, but because I use those only on my phone or on the computer. But if it's on your watch, it can ramp up your anxiety throughout the day, potential anxiety without you even realizing it. Because you're like, oh, I'm working. And it's like, all right, but you kind of got to like you got to know where your limitations, you got to know where your not necessarily limitations, but you got to know what the things that are going to be just amping it up versus not being productive, being productive, I should say. So it's a balancing act, that's for sure. Like I said, especially when you have a shared space with other people, in terms of like other people living in the same space, you can definitely run into that quite a bit. So
yeah. Other people living in the space, or when you're in the office too. Obviously, we kind of
absolutely
keep things agile and have kind of some open, shared, larger workspaces, and then smaller spaces for people to duck off into. If they needed to take a call or something like that, or like myself being in a space right here where I'm alone, taking the podcast right here. So there's very real, physical boundaries, but then also kind of established boundaries with being intentional about how you structure your day, whether that's time blocking, thinking about, notifications and things like that, and what boundaries you set that way. I learned about the concept of batching a while back, and kind of, try to find a way to like batch my days a little bit, of knowing that I'm going to have a lot more meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So try to aggregate as many of those as I can on those days. And then Mondays and Wednesdays, I can leave a little more free for, content creation or any work projects I need to schedule for myself. It's really important there too, Mark, in terms of everything, just to control what you can control, right? Obviously, there's going to be things that come up throughout the workday that you can't control, but maybe you can speak to that from your experience too, of just controlling what you can control and structuring your day that way.
Absolutely. I love this batching idea. I've never heard about this, but it's fantastic to think about what and I'll get onto that too. But yes, your question, but I love that idea, because it's like you're being aware of what works for you and what you can bang out in a certain time, and you're not overwhelming yourself with too much, but you're still getting it done. I like to think about, and this is just a little anecdote, but I like to think about when you're getting stuff done and working towards a goal, that it's just like you're just building a puzzle. So one piece out of 1,000 pieces, and you're going to get to 1,000 eventually if you just put a piece in every other day or every week. It's going to get there eventually. So being mindful of that. I love that. I'm going to take that. I'm going to steal that one from you, Joe. I steal a lot from you. So this is just another one. So eventually I'll get
you know what? This is a transactional. I'm going to take some tips back from you too, I'm sure. And and really exchange it all. Yeah.
But yes. So what was your original question? I'm sorry.
In terms of controlling what you can control. I mean, we talked a little bit about your role within managed services setting, and you never quite know when something might arise with a client or things like that, different tickets coming in and things like that, and working internally with our team as well here too, obviously having 5 people on services. How do you kind of approach your day to control what you can control?
Yes. Well, like I mentioned, and as is very prevalent in the managed services world, is where it's going to be a surprise every day. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's gonna need immediate attention, and you never know who's going to need immediate help. So you have to be ready for anything. You have to be ready to deal with ambiguity. So you have to really, when you approach your day, it's a mindset you have to maintain. So a mental technique, a thing that I try to remember as a compass, is to not template match. And by that, I mean to not look at everything that comes in and go, oh, that's just that again. And because more often than not, it's not. So, and that also nurtures the mindset of not having an open mind. Because if you just go, well, but yeah, in terms of doing that, actually, what that looks like in practice is making sure that, yes, if 20 things come in that need immediate attention, that you are remembering to communicate with your team and make sure that you are mindful of your schedule. So as long as you know, if you're able to batch out and block out your day and know what your upcoming stuff is, then it's much easier to approach all the unknowns that are going to come in throughout your day. So the more control that you can have over your space and your time, and it will inevitably help you feel way more relaxed when that server goes down, or so and so can't or an executive can't do something, or whoever can't do something. You're just you're ready for action, and you can respond appropriately with when you're available, and make that time with that person, and nobody feels overwhelmed because you have because also when reaching out, and this is just another side point in customer servicing, but just make sure it's a good time for them too. They might reach out immediately for immediate help, but they might not be ready for the next 15 minutes. So it's important to just touch base, ask when they're free, ask if it's a good time. And then if it is, great, you're ready to go. But if not, look at your schedule and just be realistic with them. Don't be like, well, I actually have a hard cutoff at this time. How about this time? And then 9.9 million times out of 10, which is not right math at all, it's probably going to be fine, and we'll be able to work, and they'll be able to work it out, because that's the human touch. That's what's going to be. You're working together, partnering on a solution, and sometimes the solution is just talking through it and acknowledging that this person needs help.
Yeah, exactly. That just connection, and that comes from relationships that you build over time too, right? It's just kind of being able to have that candor and be honest with people and say, hey, let's find the right solution, the right time to make this happen. We got a comment in here that actually is going to help us out as a good transition. Thanks to Claire from Lighthouse for tuning in here too. Claire and Mark are Lighthouse anniversary buddies, started here on the same day, February 1st, right?
Of February 1st. That's right.
Of 2021, that would be.
Keep an eye out for a LinkedIn notification on that.
It's one of my favorite ones every year. I love it. Claire mentioned she's been very intentional on what notifications she allows on her Apple Watch. It can be stressful. When it's vibrating and notifications come in all the time, and you need to have a process to kind of, I guess, triage, for lack of a better term, when everything is coming in at once, being able to, process that, figure out what you want to tackle first, what's the highest priority, things like that. Any notifications that come up on Claire's watch are something that she really needs to see in a timely manner. As we start to bring this home here, that kind of leads us into a good spot, Mark, of, obviously, we call ourselves a place for technology and talent, and technology is a big part of what we do. So I'm curious if we could talk a little bit about some of the technology tools that you use for your health and wellness. You alluded to your Apple Watch a little bit, but maybe some other things.
Well, there's a lot of great products out there in terms of wearable technology and so forth. And I love Claire's point, because it's because scheduled notifications are definitely a feature that can help a lot with that sort of thing. So like you said, with being able to pick the time that works for you to sort through your inbox of items, you can do that on your phone to set which. There's so many things. Apple has the focus stuff. Google, Android, all that stuff has it now. Outlook has it built in. But I'll mention this real quick for who hasn't done this yet. But make sure you're setting your out of office for the holiday here, because the thing is, if you set your out of office and then you're setting the right expectation for anybody reaching you, that it shows that you are providing something. So that you are acknowledging the time and this is what you're doing. So that just helps further with the work-life balance, Be like, I'm away from the office, I will be responding when I can. Here in the services side of things, we make sure that we let them know that we are also celebrating a holiday, but still keeping an eye on things. But if for anything urgent, you can still reach us this way. So providing options in that way. But that's a whole service side of things. In terms of personal things, technology stuff, wearable technology is fantastic for fitness stuff if you're into that. Also, there's a lot of new updates that allow you to track your mindfulness. So in terms of the new watch, for Apple Watch people, there's a great mindfulness app on there that just got updated with something that actually asks how you're feeling and checks in with you a couple of times a day and asks what might be causing those feelings. So if you were a person who finds that it can be difficult to Now, I'm no expert on these things, but this is not medical advice. But if you find that you're a person who needs to check in with stuff more often than not, or you're working through whatever, and it's beneficial for you to do that, there's a lot of tools to do that. They're built right into apps or watches or whatever you have closest to you. And this is and I do accept sponsorships, but there's a product that we just got in this house by Hatch called the Hatch. This is a sunrise alarm. My point is, Hatch, it's a great product. It's a great product brand that makes great products. But any kind of sunrise alarm, Philips, whatever. If you just want to use any smart light, if you set some automation in the morning to simulate a sunrise, it just has done wonders over the past couple weeks of centering your morning to not just be like, these noises of alarms going off that we're used to in the darkness, So if you have a light going on for a half an hour and then a little gentle alarm, it's just like you just wake up like, yay! You wake up like you're Cinderella singing to the birds. So it has made a big difference. But those apps exist on your phone. You can get sunrise alarms apps on your phone. Have your screen light up, whatever. I think something like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. And smart lights that work with Wi-Fi are relatively inexpensive these days. And as long as you have whatever, you have a good little lamp for it, it works great. But daylight saving time is such a thing, and winter gets so cold and dark early. So having a sunrise alarm, having lights at night that kind of can simulate a sunset in some way, kind of have them transition to a sunset gentle light. It just simulates that environment where it naturally puts you in touch with your rhythm, not to point
it does. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anything that can kind of help you, just simulate the natural setting, anything that can help you just kind of ease into your day and things like that. Yeah. It really works well. Well, and now I've got a shopping idea too. I want to see if Hatch has like a little lighthouse or something that we could do as a sunrise alarm and just kind of slowly guide the light into the day.
Yes, absolutely.
Love it. Mark, this has been a really good chat, and we could probably do a whole nother hour talking about all
we could talk all day.
Really appreciate your time today as we kind of bring this to a close here before the holiday weekend. We always ask our guests to close it with this final question. In the spirit of Be a Lighthouse, one of our core values, wanted to give you the opportunity to shout out someone who light up those around you. One of our other ones. There you go. Always close, and wanted to give you the opportunity to shout out someone who's supported you or helped you learn something new lately.
Well, I got to be honest, I just I just want to light up everybody on my team, really. And this has been a great opportunity for you to bring me in on this. I love this series, and I love being a part of this, and I love being able to shine on, celebrate some of our team members here, because we all just the amount of growth and professional and personally that I have experienced just throughout all my career at Lighthouse, but especially in the past year, has been exponential, and thankful to the opportunities that I've been presented with, and which I'm very thankful for, and that I've been able to take advantage of and been encouraged to by my fellow team members. So, Claire just popped up. She's always very supportive of everybody, and our director of IT, Jason, is always working with me to help me improve my professional skills. Joe and I were always talking about how to improve our work-life balance. This is a topic we both very passionate about. So I got a lot to be thankful for, and a lot of great people that have been supporting me in the past year. So, and we'll continue to.
Love that. That's a great note to close on, Mark. Just always great to share that gratitude, all year, but especially this time of year. But thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a great holiday weekend, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone watching. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, guys.